How's it going, everybody? It is Ben Aqua, and I am out here today with the Volkswagen ID4 Pro S with the Gradient package. And today I'll be giving you an overview of this car and some of my thoughts on driving this thing and kind of the design elements of it versus the Tesla Model Y. So this is like a souped up 2021 rear wheel drive ID4. I'm really excited to try this car out. So let's check out the interior and kind of go over some of my favorite things about it and a couple things that I think, could be worked on a little bit. So if you're new to the channel, please smash the like button and subscribe below. And also thank you so much to Hewlett Volkswagen for providing me with this loaner vehicle today. So yeah, let's hop in the VW ID4. And yeah, it's a really beautiful car actually. I love the panoramic sunroof. It does have a power situation as well. And the interior overall, I think, looks really, really nice. It does have this nice big screen over here. The ID4 has CarPlay and Android Auto standard. Interestingly, there's no actual physical buttons and stuff other than some other kind of haptic touch type of things where you can kind of swipe here, you change the AC kind of thing, as well as volume controls here. Coming from the Tesla Model Y, it does feel a little more busy, like there's a lot more icons and just visual elements here. But it seems like this car is a little bit more like utilitarian, maybe in some ways, a little more traditional than something like the Tesla, which is very drastic in its overall design. It's very minimal. There's no knobs and buttons. It's just that one giant screen. But the build quality overall, like all the kinds of materials and stuff, feel very premium on this ID4. And this ID4 comes in at $10,000 less than the Model Y. And again, this is the souped up model, which comes in at just under $50,000. So this is a cheaper vehicle than the Tesla, and it does have some pretty cool features. And just driving this car around a little bit, I noticed that the ride itself is actually quite smooth, a lot smoother noticeably than the Tesla Model Y. The Model Y feels, bumpier on the road. It's more of a sporty kind of drive, or what's called a sporty kind of drive, where you kind of feel more of the bumps and stuff on the road, where the ID4 just feels like you're floating on a cloud compared to the Tesla Model Y. Like, it's just a smooth ride overall. You do feel little bumps here and there, but it definitely feels a lot smoother than the Model Y. So that's a huge pro for the ID4. I also like how spacious it feels in here, and kind of these little design elements, like what looks like a ventilated seat, but it's actually just a design. These are just heated seats in the front and the back. The quality of this material feels, pretty nice and cushy, and the seats overall are pretty cushy, maybe a little bit better on the Tesla actually, but it's nice and spacious in here. This is kind of a mid-size crossover style SUV. There are certain things like the piano black down here, which can get a little fingerprinty. So yeah, the shiny black thing will definitely be a dust and fingerprint magnet, where in the Tesla, everything's kind of like a matte finish, so you really don't see fingerprints anywhere. But I would say the materials feel pretty similar to how the Tesla feels in terms of the kind of premium-ish, but not necessarily luxury kind of style. Like, this is more kind of a mid-range, I would say, look and feel. And down here, there's plenty of storage. I like that these are actually modular. You can like take things out, and you can have a little more space for like a small bag or something. And you can even move these things around. USB-C charging situation, as well as a wireless charger. And it does have wireless CarPlay, which I'm using right now. I do think the screen actually leaves a little bit to be desired, not so much in terms of how bright and colorful it is, because it actually looks like a kind of medium high-res screen, and it looks really nice. But I think where it could definitely improve is the responsiveness. And I've heard a lot of other people talk about this, that the ID4 just feels a little bit choppy. I definitely noticed this when you first turn the car on. It does take 10 seconds-ish just for it to turn on. It's relatively smooth-ish, but scrolling around, it doesn't feel like the most premium screen in the world. They could definitely do something with the processors. The shifter here is pretty interesting, where you have a drive mode on top, and then you have reverse on the bottom. Parking is on the side, neutral's in the middle. So you kind of twist this if you want to go up to a drive mode. I guess I have to push the brake, and then if you push it up again, it goes into this B mode, which is a battery mode, and that's a I can't say it. That's a regenerative driving experience, kind of similar to a one-pedal driving thing. That's one of my favorite features of the Tesla. You can accelerate and then slow down using just the acceleration, and I barely even have to press on the brake. but in the ID4, you do have to use the brake kind of more like a traditional car. So like I said, when you're in here, it feels really spacious. I really like the interior of this car, and it's a relatively quiet ride as well. Maybe about the same as the Tesla, maybe slightly louder actually than the Tesla, but I do appreciate the more kind of cushy and soft ride of the ID4 versus the Tesla. The Tesla does feel kind of harsh to me, honestly, after driving it for about a month. I am going to do a video that's like the Tesla after a month, the pros and cons, that kind of thing, so be sure to subscribe below. But the ID4 does feel really nice when I'm driving it. It does feel like a different driving experience, specifically with the performance, because it's not as fast as the Tesla. The Tesla is insanely fast, 0 to 60, 4.8 seconds, where the ID4, the 0 to 60 is, I believe, in 7 seconds. But you do feel that performance difference when you're driving the ID4. Once you're used to a Tesla, the ID4 actually feels very slow and it doesn't accelerate as crazy fast. But that may be more appealing for some people that want kind of a more gradual type of acceleration experience versus just like flooring it. But it has plenty of power. You just have to kind of work towards it a little harder than with something like the Tesla. The ID4 does feel like more of a traditional type of car, even though it is an all-electric vehicle. Like, for example, there's no frunk in this car. There is a beautiful trunk in the back of this ID4, but there is no frunk for some reason. And the layout of this kind of stuff up here just feels kind of more like a kind of normal traditional car, but it's an electric car. So I believe it gets about 250 miles on a full charge, and you do get 3 years of free 30-minute charging sessions with Electrify America once you buy an ID4. But I've seen kind of mixed reviews about the Electrify America network, and the charging just isn't up to par with something like the Tesla supercharger network, which is one of the major draws for me with the Tesla Model Y. Is I charge mostly at home anyway, but when I'm on the road and stuff like that, the supercharger network is super fast, it's super amazing, and it's really reliable. It seems like Tesla has kind of more quality control over their charging system versus Electrify America, which seems like it still has a lot of kinks and stuff to work out. So let's do a little driving now with this ID4, because it's actually a very fun ride. So I'm going to put this into drive mode, and it's in D. I'm going to put it on B because I like the kind of more one pedal driving thing, but I do like that it gives you the option between switching from D and B, where D you can actually take your foot off of the acceleration and it'll coast kind of more like a traditional car. You can see and maybe hear just, you know, how this car sounds. It does have a little bit of road noise here and there, but overall it's a pretty smooth drive, and I actually appreciate this cloud-like feel. You just kind of take off and it has a more subtle acceleration like I was talking about. The steering feels really nice. I would say the Tesla's more of like a tighter kind of ride, but the Volkswagen ID4, I mean, this just feels like a pleasure to drive, honestly. It has really good turn radius, by the way. I was like just going through having to do like a U-turn kind of situation, and I had to turn around really quickly, and the wheel just kept turning around. I just kept spinning it, and it was just going. And the turn radius on the Tesla really stinks in comparison to the ID4. This is very smooth. It felt really natural to start just driving this car. The Tesla has a little bit more of a learning curve. You have to like place the card down here, and then you have to know kind of how to use it and, you know, mess with the screen here. But I feel like with the ID4, it's just, you know, very consumer friendly in that it was really easy to pick up and kind of figure out how to drive this thing. So you can kind of hear, you know, there's not a whole lot of road noise in this car, especially when you're driving on a smoother little road like this. It's a very pleasant ride overall. Is it a really exciting ride? I would say kind of. When you're flooring it, yeah, it's definitely exciting. But, you know, the Tesla feels more of like an exciting ride to me because it does have that extra power. But if you're not in a rush and you don't need like the craziest, most minimal design ever, I would actually suggest getting the ID4 over the Tesla, because you will save at least $10,000 even with this top trim Pro S with the gradient package here. You're getting a lot of bang for the buck here. You're not going to get as much of a range as the Tesla Model Y with the long range, which gets up to 330 miles. I mean, it's kind of a different experience though. Like, this is not meant to be a minimalist, you know, masterpiece or whatever like the Tesla is trying to be. Some people would probably prefer having these two screens. I kind of prefer the Tesla experience experience, honestly, even after using this. This is really nice to have the second screen there, but I do kind of crave the Tesla experience a little bit more with the giant screen. And the Tesla screen is definitely faster too. It's definitely more responsive, which I really, really like. So now that I'm driving a little bit faster, I do hear a little bit more road noise than I probably would be hearing in the Tesla. But the Tesla Model Y is a 2021, the one that I have, and it has double pane glass windows and that kind of thing. So it does feel a little bit quieter in that interior versus the interior in here. But yeah, one of my favorite things about this car is turning. It feels really jelly-like. I don't know how to describe it other than that. It just feels very, very nice in that way. This car reminds me of my Scion XB from many, many years ago, where it just felt a little bit easier to turn. All right, so we're gonna get a little highway action here. And I'm gonna floor it a little bit to see just how fast this thing can go. And I do like that this has kind of the more traditional blind spot monitoring system where you see a little light show up on the side when there is a car in your blind spot. But yeah, I'm on the highway now. Super nice experience. Not incredibly loud, but you do hear that road noise. You don't hear almost any engine noise though, or any kind of revving up, which is amazing about this car and every electric vehicle. And you're not polluting the environment. I mean, that's the biggest reason, I think, to get the EV, of course. Plus, you don't have to stop at a gas station. You don't have to do that whole routine. I'm kind of floored a little bit here to see what this thing can do. And yeah, it definitely does have power. You know, I kind of made it sound like there's no power in the ID4, but I'm kind of laughing right now because it is a fast car, you know? Not quite as fast as the Tesla though, but it is a fast car and it is fun as hell to drive, and it just feels really comfortable. It feels really natural. It almost feels like I've been driving this car for a really long time. Oh, there's the Tesla Model Y right there. The sound system in this car is also pretty decent. I think it's a little better on the Tesla Model Y, but this will definitely get the job done. Of course, it does have a reverse camera with sensors and stuff back here, so you can see if you're gonna back into anything or not, and the resolution looks pretty good. All right, y'all, I am back in my Tesla Model Y, which I named Pizza, by the way. What do I think about the ID4 versus the Tesla Model Y? And this is the 2021 long range edition. And the immediate thing I noticed in the Model Y versus the ID4 is the Model Y is a lot stiffer of a ride. It's a lot more rigid. The acceleration is a lot more drastic, a lot more powerful on the Model Y. Of course, the interior of the Model Y, as you can see, super minimal, and you know, no knobs, no buttons, just that one screen. But I do appreciate actually the Model Y over the ID4 in the design, the overall design, how it's so minimal, how it's just more aesthetically pleasing in my opinion. But I think the biggest difference overall is the ride quality. Like I said, the stiff, kind of rigid ride. Like you have to turn the steering wheel even harder in the Tesla versus the ID4. You know, you have to exert a lot more force to get this thing to turn. I also miss the CarPlay features in the ID4, you know, just really easy to wirelessly use CarPlay. And yeah, I really like both cars, but honestly, for me, it's still gonna be the Tesla Model Y over the ID4, mostly because of the performance in this machine. Like, it's really nice to have that extra zip where the ID4 is a more cushy, comfortable, kind of slow and steady wins the race kind of car, but it's definitely not slow by any means. It has quite a bit amount of power. It just takes a little more effort to get there. Another thing that differentiates Tesla is the kind of entertainment stuff that you have on the screen. You don't see this kind of stuff on a lot of cars, and you don't see it on the ID4, where the ID4 is kind of more just for driving. And it seems like the Tesla is, you know, just a different type of experience. You know, it's trying to be a little more fun and a little more engaging in certain ways. Like, there's all these games here that you can play. There's this Mars mode. There's also, you know, the emissions thing, which people seem to love. Fart, fart. It's been really nice, for example, when I was sitting, you know, eating a veggie burger in the car, I could watch Netflix while I'm parked and eating my burger. Or if you're charging or something like that, you can watch Hulu or YouTube or something to kind of pass the time. So overall, both cars are really amazing, to be honest. I think it depends on what your budget is. If you're on more of a budget, I would definitely recommend the ID4 over the Tesla. The ID4 is built really well. It's a beautiful design. I actually really like the exterior. The interior is okay. You know, the seats have kind of a cool dotted design, and it feels kind of futuristic light, where the Tesla to me feels way more futuristic. It feels like a spaceship kind of vibe, and it's obviously a different experience with the minimal interior in the Tesla. So anyway, I hope this video was helpful for you. It was definitely so much fun for me to record, and I will be doing more content about EVs coming up really soon, including my 1-month review of the Tesla Model Y. So be sure to subscribe below if you're not already, and smash the like button. That really helps me out. Have an awesome rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.